Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, we have one of the greatest chemistry teachers ever to come into Greenville High School. Please give it up with a very loud applause for Mr. Jason Nia! Too much?
A little bit. Oh, man. All right. Is the mic on and everything? Am I good? Okay. Hi. I'm the chemistry teacher at Greenville High School, and I am a graduate of U of M. Woo! We just had a very good weekend last weekend, by the way. Sorry to you green and white people out there. Hey, you guys just had some pizza, right? Yeah. What's the best pizza topping? Pineapple. What? Pepperoni. What? The sauce. Pepperoni. Yeah. Cheese, just cheese. Okay. All right. I hear a lot of opinions out there. All right. Pizza toppings are what we call, subjective, right? You can a lot of people can be right, even though they have different opinions, right? I like pepperoni the best, okay? But there are other kinds of questions that aren't really open to opinion. For example, does gravity pull stuff down? Yeah, but what if I disagree? I don't believe in gravity, man. Well, okay, so if I don't believe in gravity, right, it's going to work on me whether I want it to or not, right? So if you don't believe in gravity, don't test that belief, okay? Just, don't jump off of anything high. Gravity will work on you whether you believe it or not. So some beliefs, like pizza toppings, people can have different beliefs and still be right. But gravity, there is a right belief there. God is another belief that you can't just have an opinion about and everybody be right. For example, if one person says there is no God and another person says there is a God, they both can't be right. God is not like pepperoni, okay? He is not like pineapple. It's not that kind of question. There either is or there is not a God. And we live in a weird world where we don't want to ever have anybody be wrong, right? Everybody, whatever you think is fine. Everybody's beliefs are equally true no matter what because we're just nice. Well, everybody's beliefs are not equally true. The person who doesn't believe in gravity, that belief is just not true. So there is a God or there is not a God. You can't just have one opinion or the other. You ever thought about it that way? So, I'm a science teacher. Graduated from the University of Michigan, like I said. And I get that a lot. Like, you're a science teacher and you believe in God? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Why? Because the more I learn about science, the more evidence I find for God. When I was in college, I had to write a paper for an English class I was taking, and my paper, it had to be a persuasive essay. You know what that is? It's an essay that persuades. You have to convince somebody, right? You have to convince somebody of your opinion. Well, on Monday, this was a Monday, Wednesday, Friday class. On Monday, I wrote down my topic and turned it into the professor at college, right? At U of M. On Wednesday, she asked me to stay after class. I'm like, yeah, that's how I felt. And she said, you can't write it on this topic. You see, my topic was that God created everything, and I was going to persuade my professor. And she said, I can't write it on that topic. I'm like, well, why not? She said, because this is a persuasive essay, and you have to have like real reasons and real evidence. And there is no evidence for God. I'm like, oh, really? And I said, I'm going to write the paper on the topic of God being the creator of everything. And my professor said, well, if you don't persuade me, if I don't find your essay persuasive, I'm going to fail you. Challenge accepted. Okay. So I wrote the essay. Okay. I'll spare you the details. I got an A. Okay. So I would like to share with you some reasons, some scientific reasons. I'm not going to even use a Bible verse. Why I believe God exists and he created all things. Okay? All right. Well, before we get started, let me get you in the scientific mindset. I need to have a volunteer. Oh my goodness, who was first? I was not watching. Who was first? Oh, good grief. We'll pick the young lady in pink here. Okay, come on up. All right. Now, you're going to pick a card. Any card you want. Now, most magicians don't let you look at the cards, right? I'm going to let you look at the cards, and any card you want, you can just, tell me which one. You want the ace of spades? Yeah. Okay. Are you sure you want the ace of spades?
Sure. Yeah. Yes.
Should she keep it or change?
Change. Okay, I'll change it.
Are you sure? I mean, you can keep it or you can change it. It's up to you.
Keep it.
Keep it? Okay. Hold out your hand. Now you picked the ace of spades, right? We didn't set this up beforehand, right? Did I force you to? No, you just like that. Okay. I'm just going to set the ace of spades in your hand. I'll keep it just like that. I need to show you the back of all these cards. You see, before I came today, I wrote on the back of one card. See, I'm trying to show you all of them here. I didn't write on the back of any of these. I wonder what card I wrote on. I think you should flip it. What does it say?
I knew you'd pick the ace of spades.
I knew you'd pick the ace of spades. Woo, good job. Let's give her a hand. All right. That's pretty good. All right. Well, now that puts you into the mindset of a scientist. Because right now you're like, how did he do that? What is going? That's what scientists think. That's how they think. Okay, they're like, and they want to investigate. Okay, now you're in the mindset of a scientist. That's why I like magic tricks. Okay. Yeah. Oh, no, it's not another magic trick. Till later. Anybody know who that is right here? That is Charles Darwin, okay? Charles Darwin wrote a book called On the Origin of Species, and he wrote it in 1859. How long ago was that? A long time ago. It's like 160-something years ago, maybe? Something like that? All right, a long time ago. He was the main guy who introduced the theory of what? Evolution. Theory of evolution. So I want to share with you guys some things because you guys are you maybe already have had science classes, or you're going to have more science classes in middle school, high school, or college, where the science teacher or professor wants to tell you that random chance formed life, not God. That's what Darwin proposed, okay? And I want to arm you. I want to equip you with some knowledge as to why that ain't the truth. Well, this is one of the most famous atheists in the world, Richard Dawkins. He has written tons of books. Look at what he said. He said, Darwin made it possible to be an intellectually fulfilled atheist. So what that means is Darwin made it possible for me to not feel super dumb for being an atheist, right? He makes it possible for me to feel like I'm still, intellectually smart, even though I don't believe in God. Well, unfortunately, Darwin has some issues. But here's another quote. Perhaps there is intelligence in charge of the universe, but Darwin's theory shows no sign of it and has no need of it. That basically means that Darwin's theory has no need of God. Now, the person who said this makes me a little sad. You've probably heard of him. In fact, I really like his TV shows. Bill Nye the Science Guy. Bill. Right? Yeah. Okay. Now, Darwin, before Charles Darwin, before 1859, do you know that most of the most famous scientists believed in God? They did. After Darwin, there are fewer scientists that believe in God. Darwin had a big impact. Darwin went to these Galapagos Islands, and he developed this theory of natural selection. Have anybody heard of Darwin's birds, his finches, before? Raise your hand if you've been taught about those. Okay, yeah, all right. Darwin's finches. These are actual pictures from the artist. Darwin hired an artist to sketch the pictures, okay? And he said, you know what? In times of drought, when there's not much rain, birds like number 1 and 2 with the thick beaks, they can survive better because when there's no rain, the seeds have real thick shells and they're harder to crack open. So the birds with thick beaks do a better job and they survive. And so if the drought lasts a long time, most of the birds start to look like 1 and 2, and 3 and 4 die. But if the rain comes back, these guys, 3 and 4, are better at eating the smaller seeds that grow better with rain. And so the bird populations can change beak shapes. And he thought, maybe little changes can add up. And over time, super long time, maybe the changes add up so much that can happen. Where an ape-like ancestor could change into a person over time, generations, millions and millions of years or whatever, okay? Or let's go even further and say that we could start with this cell and grow into weird salamander things and eventually end up being people. This is what Darwin's theory popularized. Well, Darwin didn't know some things. He did not know the complexity of microscopic biological structures. See, Darwin had microscopes. You know what microscopes are? Yeah, right? He could see the cells, but he didn't have the staining techniques. So to Darwin, a cell looked like a gray blob with a nucleus in it, and that's it. He didn't know about anything else in the cell. He certainly didn't know about genes and DNA. Because this is 160 years ago. So, since Darwin, what has science taught us? Well, Darwin was right about finches. This can happen. Bird beaks can change shape. That's fine. But he was not right about this. And I'm going to explain why. All right, so scientific evidence that God is responsible for life on Earth instead of Darwin's theory of evolution. First, information found in DNA. You guys heard of DNA before? Yeah, we got DNA in us, right? In our cells? We have DNA in us. Okay, Just checking. It looks like at least half of you have some DNA. That's good. That's good to know. You can reproduce. Okay, here's a cell. Okay, here's a cell right here, and here's the nucleus. And if you look inside the nucleus, you have chromosomes. And if you unravel the chromosome, you have DNA strands. And a little segment of DNA is called a gene. Now that DNA has coded information in it. Codes. Okay? The DNA contains the codes that the cells use to make proteins. Now, what are proteins? Proteins build everything. Okay? Your DNA has the codes needed to make proteins. Keep that in mind. Let's say you're walking down the beach. There's rocks, there's seashells, there's all kinds of good things. What if you're walking on the beach and you see that? You're like, huh, somebody probably did that, huh? Maybe somebody was here before me. So if you walk along the beach and you find this, you realize somebody was there, right? Anybody like mountains? I like hiking in the mountains in Colorado. If you're walking along, hiking in the mountains, and you see that mountain, that's Mount Rushmore. What do you think? Do you think, wow, lightning must have struck there? That's some weird looking erosion, right? No, you go, huh, somebody or some people did that. You see, both Mount Rushmore and the heart on the beach is what we call information. Okay? Information has high improbability and a pattern that communicates something. This pattern communicates the presidents. This pattern communicates love. And guess what? Whenever you find information, even if it's a heart or even if it's faces of a president, you know that somebody did it. You see, information always comes from an intelligent source, a mind. If you have a book, you have an author. If you have a song, you have a composer. If you have a computer program, you have a programmer. If you have DNA, which has coded what? Information in it. Information always comes from an intelligent source. Always. There's no exception. You guys know who that is? Bill Gates. Yeah, he founded this little company called Microsoft, right? He's one of the richest men in the world. Everybody ever play on an Xbox before? Yeah, he started the company. Okay? Here's what he said about DNA. DNA is like a computer program, but far, far more advanced than any software ever created. Well, so when you walk along the beach and you see this, you know somebody did it. When you look at this, you know somebody did it. And when you realize that DNA is full of information, more complex than any human programmer could make, you know somebody did it. Doesn't happen by random chance. So that's the first reason, first scientific evidence that God is responsible, not randomness. Information found in DNA points to an intelligent source. That intelligent source is who we call God. Well, secondly, statistically improbable mutations. Whew, boy, oh boy. Statistically improbable mutations. Statistics. What's the chance of me getting that magic trick right? If I was picking in random, what's the chance? 1 in 52. You got it. There's 52 cards in the deck. 1 in 52 chance. What is the chance of me doing it twice in a row? It's 1 over 52 times 1 over 52, which is 2,704. What if I did 3 magic tricks? I have to multiply again, and I get, look, you'd have to see 140,608 magic shows to see 3 correct card tricks if it was random. Okay, that's how statistics work. This is a protein. And a typical protein is 50 to 2,000 amino acids long. Now, don't worry about amino acids. I want you to think about amino acids like letters. Okay? Like Scrabble. Anybody play Scrabble? Okay, we got Scrabble. Okay? A protein, see this big protein right here? It's got between 50 and 2 letters. And all those letters are coded by DNA. Okay? Now, what if you had a huge pile, 1,000 Scrabble tiles, and you just randomly picked out Scrabble letters one at a time and just blindly set them down? You think you'd get a sentence? Nope. Randomness doesn't produce information. Doesn't produce a sentence like information. You need a code for that. So the code, or intelligence, could give you a sentence. She took a cat to the doctor. That's my protein sentence, okay? Now, a mutation is where the code gets messed up. And maybe we have to change a letter. How easy is it to change a letter in that sentence? Picture that sentence, and you're going to reach in to the Scrabble bag and grab a tile and just kick out another letter. Pretty hard to change the sentence and still make it work, right? Maybe if you got lucky, you could change this C into an R, and you have a pet rat instead of a cat. I don't know too many people. Anyway, you could do it and it would work. But mutations are hard to do. Mutations are hard. How probable are mutations? Well, a lot of biology textbooks mention malaria. Okay? Malaria is a parasite. Well, there's a parasite that causes malaria, and it became resistant to a drug called chloroquine back in the 1940s. Okay? You guys heard of malaria before? Okay, malaria is a disease, and they tried to cure it with chloroquine. Have you guys heard of like how diseases sometimes become to antibiotics and stuff like that? Okay? Well, that's what happened with chloroquine and malaria. So if you take the number of yearly patients treated and you multiply that by the number of parasites per person and multiply that by the number of years before resistance, you get this number. 1 in every, this number right here is a billion. It's more money than even I have. Okay? That means 1 in every billion parasites got resistance. This is just data, scientific data. Here's what evolutionary biologists say. Evolutionary biologists say that there have been a total of 1 trillion creatures, total, leading to humans in the last 10 million years. That's what they say. I don't believe that, but that's what they say. So 10 million years ago, changing into humans today, if you added up all the creatures that lived, you'd have 1 trillion of them total. Like right now, there's like 8 billion humans on the planet, okay? So there'd be a total of 1 trillion all there. Now look at the statistics here. See how much bigger this number is than this one? The same type of mutation that causes drug resistance, too many zeros. This little ape creature would have to turn into this human creature with only 1 trillion creatures. Okay? And that means there's not enough for even one of those drug-resistant mutations to happen in the whole human line. Okay? Now that could be over your heads, I'm not sure. Okay? But let's put it this way. Anybody play basketball? Anybody on a basketball team? Okay. You're on a basketball team. Right here, these are the odds of you playing the Golden State Warriors and beating them in basketball. You'd have to play a billion times. I think you have even worse chance than that. No offense. Okay. But what if you only got to play this many times? You're not playing long enough to win. And so Darwin isn't playing long enough to win either. The mutations are too statistically improbable to have resulted in human life. Well, we've got two so far. The information in DNA and statistics are against mutations. I'm going to show you my last feature is that many things in life require multiple parts. It's called irreducible complexity. Just like a mousetrap needs 5 parts to work. It needs a piece of wood. You got to have a spring. Got to have a place for the cheese. Got to have a hook. And you got to have this bar right here. This bar right here is going to and get that mouse. Got to have 5 parts or it doesn't work. Look at what Darwin wrote. This is an actual quote from Darwin's book in 1859. If it could be demonstrated that any complex organ existed which could not possibly have been formed by numerous successive slight modifications, my theory would absolutely break down. But I can find no such case. Here's a bacteria. Here's a bacteria with a tail. Now this tail can move, and so that bacteria can swim and find food easier. It's kind of nice to have a tail if you're a bacteria. Going from this to this looked like a slight modification to Darwin. However, if you look at, this is the tail right here. Inside the bacteria, right there, is this. A 42-part motor that drives the tail and lets it move. 42 parts. In other words, all 42 parts have to be there or it doesn't work. Darwin's theory cannot build that. You would have to have a 42-step process happening at once. See what I'm saying? Darwin's theory can't do it. Okay? He has to do numerous successive slight modifications. And without that, my theory would absolutely break down. Can't build the motor for the tail. You know what? Oh, by the way, when you build an elevator, when you build a skyscraper, picture a big, tall building. And they need an elevator, right? I'm not climbing the stairs. They need an elevator. Okay. Now, when they build that building, they leave a space for the elevator in the middle, right? They do. They have to. And then later at the end, they install the elevator and the cables, and it'd be really bad. They dig the hole for the foundation and the elevator arrives. Ready to install the elevator, where do you want it? They have to install the elevator in the end, right? The way the cells build this, in step 1 and 2, the cell machines leave a space for what's needed at step 35. We're talking master architecture for that crazy little bacteria tail. It's amazing. Same is true, I'm going to close here in a second. Same is true with blood clotting. Your blood has to have 20 proteins present to clot. You cannot evolve a blood clotting system. Oh, this organism has 5 of the proteins. Blood won't clot. Dead. This organism has evolved 12 of the proteins. Dead. Okay, you can't survive. You need all 20 for blood clotting. Same thing with eyesight. Your eyes, complex machinery, and a system to interpret the signals. Got to have a nervous system and eyes present at the same time. You can't just evolve an eye without the optics. Even a single light detecting cell, one cell, requires so many proteins just to operate. These are just a few examples of how slight modifications don't work. So, to close, 3 reasons, guys, and I want you to keep these in mind because you're going to be facing some science teachers that will teach you just what popular science says, that evolution is responsible for life on Earth. But the information in DNA points to an intelligent source. Statistically, it is impossible that all of the diverse life forms could have formed. And then many features of life require multiple systems to be present at once, not a gradual creation of the systems. All 3 of these reasons point to God being the author of life, not randomness, not evolution. Make sense? All right.